The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the manfromleng. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, I am looking at the Dream Eaters, the next Deluxe expansion for the Arkham Horror LCG. Fantasy Flight Games released a preview of the Dream Eaters to kick off the month of June, and the announcement is packed with information about what players can expect when the next cycle drops later this year. I, for one, am extremely excited about the Dream Eaters Deluxe expansion because it is set in H.P. Lovecraft's Dreamlands, which of course is home to the dreaded Plateau of Leng and its freakish feral inhabitants, the manfromleng. If there was ever an expansion to feature a manfromleng encounter card, this is it. So I've got my fingers crossed that my namesake will make an appearance at some point during the next cycle. Needless to say, there are spoilers throughout if you care about that sort of thing. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get started. Lovecraft fleshed out the alternate dimension that can only be entered via dreams in classic stories such as The Doom That Came to Sarnath, The Cats of Ulthar, The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath, The Silver Key, and one of my personal favorites, Through the Gates of the Silver Key. If you haven't read these stories yet, the Horror Babble YouTube channel has some excellent recordings available if you'd like to catch up. The Dreamlands is divided into 4 regions. The west contains the Steppes of Deep Slumber, which are reached via the Cavern of Flame, and the Enchanted Woods, which is home to the Zoogs, a race of sentient forest-dwelling creatures with an insatiable curiosity and a taste for blood. Other points of interest include the port city of Dilath-Leen, and the town of Ulthar, which is home to countless cats, the mortal enemies of the Zoogs. The south is home to the island of Oriab and the Fantastic Realms. Selafay, a city dreamt into existence by King Kuranes, one of the greatest dreamers in this or any realm, lies to the east. The feared Plateau of Leng, home to man-eating spiders and the manfromleng, lies to the north. Other locations in the Dreamlands include the Underworld, which is filled with ghouls and other hideous monsters, the Moon, home to moon beasts that worship Nyarlathotep, and Kadath, home to the gods of Earth's Dreamlands. The Dreamlands is vast with a capital V, so I am looking forward to seeing which areas we will explore during this cycle. Designer Matt Newman is definitely spoiled for choice in this case. Judging by the art on the box, for the Dream Eaters, the investigators will confront Atlach-Nacha, a great old one created by one of Lovecraft's contemporaries, the poet and artist Clark Ashton Smith. Smith introduced Atlach-Nacha to the mythos in his 1934 short story, The Seven Geishas, and several other authors have expanded on Smith's creation in their tales. An audiobook version of The Seven Geishas is available on YouTube if you're interested in listening to the story. The story starts off strong, but I found the end to be a little bit abrupt and rather disappointing considering the grand adventure that preceded it. Known as the Spider God, Atlach-Nacha resembles a giant spider with a human-like face. According to Smith's short story, Atlach-Nacha came to Earth from Saturn with another great old one, Sathuagwa, and it dwells in a cave system beneath Mount Vurmehadreth, and is in the now extinct Arctic kingdom of Hyperborea, which also lends its name to Agnes Baker's signature asset. Atlach-Nacha spins a great web, forming a great bridge between the Dreamlands and the waking world. Spiders of Leng, which may also appear on the box art, are thought to be the children of Atlach-Nacha. Atlach-Nacha's cultists believe the world will come to an end when the web is complete. Atlach-Nacha has appeared in both the Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror board games. If I remember correctly, he was among the more difficult bosses in Arkham Horror, not for the faint of heart. I have not tackled him yet in Eldritch Horror. I suspect that Atlach-Nacha has nearly completed his web, so the investigators will need to confront him and foil his plans at some point during this cycle. The Dream Eater cycle kicks off when occult author Virgil Gray releases the latest issue of Tales from Nevermore, where he describes a journey he has taken in his dreams. Gray writes of impossibly long winding staircases, which is likely the steps of deeper slumber I mentioned earlier. Gray also encounters a pillar of living fire, which is likely the Cavern of Flame, a tree that came from the moon, and a talking cat. Other Arkham residents claim to have had the exact same dream as Gray, and the lot of them are encouraged to undergo therapy at Arkham Asylum. Each Arkham Horror LCG campaign includes some sort of twist, and the Dream Eaters is no exception. The Dream Eater cycle will feature not one, not two, but 3 campaigns. The first campaign kicks off with a scenario entitled Beyond the Gates of Sleep, which it has the investigators descending into the realm of the dreamers in search of answers. The second campaign is set in the waking world. There will be 6 Mythos packs released during the cycle, 3 for each mini-campaign. Alternatively, you can combine the 2 scenarios in the Deluxe box with the 6 scenarios in the Mythos packs to form an 8-part campaign. Personally, I like the idea of the mini-campaigns. As much as I enjoy the 8 scenario campaigns, I rarely finish them because I'm always testing new investigators or deck ideas. However, I can bash out 4 scenarios in an evening if I'm motivated, which makes a mini-campaign ideal for a player like myself. I do have a few concerns about splitting the campaign between the Mythos packs. First, you'll have to wait 2 months to continue a mini-campaign, which is a very long time indeed in this day and age. Second, the format may be confusing for new players, many of whom are already confused about which Deluxe expansion or Mythos pack to buy next. I don't think this will cause too many problems, since you can still play all 8 scenarios as part of a larger 8-scenario campaign if you want, but it might annoy or deter some players. Now, the Dream Eaters preview spoiled one investigator who will be in the Deluxe box. If you're familiar at all with the investigators in Fantasy Flight's Arkham Files line, you won't be surprised to learn that investigator is Luke Robinson, the Dreamer. Luke is a mystic investigator with 4 willpower, 3 intellect, 2 combat, and 3 agility. He has the Dreamer, Drifter, and Wayfarer traits. He has the game text, "You begin the game with Gatebox in play. You may play one event each turn as if you were at a connecting location and engaged with each enemy at that location. His Elder Sign ability is +1, and you may place 1 charge on the Gatebox. He has 5 health and 9 sanity. Luke's deck building restrictions were not spoiled in the article. If I had to guess, they're probably similar to a pure mystic such as a Kachi, rather than a mystic with an off class, since as Agnes. Luke's base skill values are fairly typical for a mystic investigator. He has above average willpower and below average combat, coupled with his ability to play events as if he were at a connecting location, suggests he's yet another mystic who will lean heavily on his willpower to investigate, fight, and evade. That's a little disappointing. Don't get me wrong, mystics have received plenty of great cards during the Circle Undone cycle, and I am really enjoying playing the mystics at the moment, but I was hoping the class would break out of the willpower or bust mode that has typified the investigators up to this point and explore some new ground. Now, Luke's special ability lets him play an event as if he was at a connecting location and engaged with each enemy at that location. There are more than 20 mystic events, so there are quite a few interesting options for Luke to explore. For example, Luke can tie up enemies at a connecting location with cards such as Banish, Bind Monster, and Blinding Light. Luke may also manipulate the Chaos Bag with cards such as Counterspell and Time Warp. Hypnotic Gaze and either version of Mind Wipe may gain some traction in Luke Robinson decks, since he may play them to help investigators at connecting locations. Luke may play Drawn to the Flame to discover 2 clues at a connecting location, although he will take an attack of opportunity if there is an enemy there. Speaking of enemies, Luke can play Storm of Spirits to damage every enemy at a connecting location, which is huge, as we will see in a moment. There are a lot of interesting events that Luke may play to discover clues and manage enemies, which strengthens my belief that his deck building restrictions will limit him to mostly mystic cards. Luke Robinson's signature asset is Gatebox. Gatebox is a 3-cost asset with the item and relic traits. It begins the game in play and has 3 charges. As a free triggered ability, Luke may exhaust Gatebox and spend 1 charge to disengage from each enemy engaged with him, search his bonded cards for Dreamgate, Wondrous Journey, put it into play, and move to it. Cards with the bonded keyword were introduced in Before the Black Throne, the final Mythos pack of the Circle Undone cycle. Basically, when Luke triggers Gatebox, he puts Dreamgate into play, which is like a pocket dimension, where he can hide until the end of the investigation phase. Dreamgate Wondrous Journey is a 1-shroud location with 0 clues. It is connected to each other revealed location. Enemies and investigators other than Luke Robinson cannot enter Dreamgate. At the end of the investigation phase, you set Dreamgate aside, out of play, and if Luke Robinson is hiding in the Dreamgate, you move him to any revealed location. The Gatebox Dreamgate combination makes Luke one of the most mobile investigators in the game. It's almost, but not quite, elusive on demand. Moving from the Dreamgate costs an action, but you get to move to any revealed location, which is incredible. Imagine taking Luke up against a scenario such as a Phantom of Truth, the Pallid Mask, Black Star's Rise, or the Doom of Estley. As long as Luke has a charge on his Gatebox, the distance between revealed locations is going to be irrelevant. That is pretty amazing. Don't forget that while Luke is in the Dreamgate, he is connected to all revealed locations, which means he can play an event card at those locations as well. I certainly like the idea of scooping up 2 clues at any revealed location on the table. Luke's signature weakness is detached from reality. It has the Madness trait and the following game text: Revelation. If Dreamgate Wondrous Journey is already in play, flip it over. Otherwise, search your bonded cards for Dreamgate Pointless Reality and put it into play. In either case, disengage from each enemy engaged with you and move to Dreamgate. Dreamgate Pointless Reality is a 6-shroud location with 0 clues. Enemies and investigators other than Luke Robinson cannot enter Dreamgate. Response after you successfully investigate Dreamgate, flip it over. Forced at the end of the investigation phase, set Dreamgate aside, out of play. If Luke Robinson is here, move him to any revealed location and he takes 2 horror. Detached from reality, it doesn't seem that bad until you realize it could cost Luke 3 actions. Dreamgate Pointless Reality isn't connected to any other location, which prevents Luke from moving or playing events at connecting locations. Luke can flip Pointless Reality back to the Wondrous Journey side if he successfully investigates the location, but that is going to be a tall order. Luke has only 3 intellect, so he and he alone will have to commit a lot of cards and or resources to pass the intellect skill test on the investigate action. I believe he could also use a card like Rite of Seeking to try to investigate this location as well. But he only has 4 willpower, which is still going to mean he's going to have to commit some cards and or resources to pass that test. If Luke can't investigate successfully, can't move, and can't play events, he could get stuck in his Pointless Reality for an entire turn if he draws it during the upkeep phase. If there is a silver lining to this, it's the fact that enemies cannot enter the Dreamgate, so if Luke draws 1 during the Mythos phase, I believe that it will whiff, although I'm not entirely certain about that. If Luke is still in the Pointless Reality at the end of the investigation phase, he takes 2 horror, which isn't that bad considering he has 9 sanity, but honestly, I'd much rather lose the sanity than all those actions on a given turn. I'm not looking forward to taking Luke for a spin once he's released. Hell, I'll probably even give him a try before the Dream Eaters hit stores. Mobility is a very important thing in the Arkham Horror LCG, and there are some scenarios, such as the Doom of Estley and Heart of the Elders, that will be much easier for Luke to complete. Luke's preference for events also creates some interesting space to explore from a deck building perspective. FFG's preview article spoiled a couple of other cards worth mentioning. The first is Open Gate. Open Gate is a 1-cost mystic event with willpower and agility skill icons and the spell trait. It has the myriad and fast keywords. You may play it only during your turn. Attached to your location, group limit 3 in play. Investigators may move between any 2 locations with an attached Open Gate as if the locations were connected. Obviously, Open Gate is an event that will likely find a home in Luke Robinson decks. Luke could play one copy of Open Gate, then use his gate box to enter his pocket dimension and play a second copy of Open Gate during a player window on another location, and ferry an entire group of investigators wherever they need to go. This combination straight up wrecks scenarios such as the Doom of Estley and Heart of the Elders, and I'm sure there are others that are almost trivial if you've got Luke in your group. There is a catch, of course, that being you need 2 copies of Open Gate to make it work. Drawing Open Gate in your opening hand won't do you much good if the other copy is in the final 10 cards of your deck. That brings me to the Myriad keyword. We don't know what Myriad does yet, but I suspect it lets you include more than 2 copies of Open Gate in your deck, thus improving the odds of actually seeing 2 copies at some point during a scenario. I believe Before the Black Throne contains at least 1 card that breaks the limit 2 per deck rule, so including a 3rd or possibly even a 4th copy of Open Gate in your deck would not be unheard of. Now, Myriad may also allow you to search your deck for another copy of Open Gate instead, although that seems a little too strong to me since Open Gate is already fast. We'll just have to wait and see what that Myriad keyword is and how many copies of Open Gate you receive when you open your copy of the Dream Eaters. There is another interesting card teased in the article, Crystallizer of Dreams. It's a 1-cost rogue asset with a willpower skill icon and the item and relic traits. As an additional cost to play it, you must search your bonded cards for 1 copy of Guardian of the Crystallizer and shuffle it into your deck. Now, I'm assuming here the Guardian of the Crystallizer is some type of terrible weakness, which does create some interesting design space to explore. I certainly like the idea of creating powerful player cards that force you to add a weakness to your deck in order to play them. I can't wait to see whether the Crystallizer of Dreams is worth the price, since its response is hidden in the card fan. It will be interesting if it is a weakness, the Guardian of the Crystallizer. It will be interesting to see how designer Matt Newman balances that out with the power of the card. Finally, I'd like to draw your attention to the Ancient Zoog in the card fan. Ancient Zoog has 3 fight, 3 health, and 3 evade. It has the Creature Zoog and Elite traits. It spawns at any enchanted wood location, unrevealed if able. It is aloof. It has the following forced effect. At the start of the enemy phase, if Ancient Zoog is ready, add 1 swarm card to each swarming Zoog enemy in play. If it will hit you for a damage and a horror. Now, I don't know what the swarm cards will do, but I'm hoping they are enemies with only 1 health. Otherwise, things could get pretty crazy. Now, I've been expecting to see swarms of enemies in the Arkham Horror LCG for a couple of expansions now, and the Zoogs look like they're going to be the real deal. It's time to dust off all those cards that deal with multiple enemies, including Trench Knife, a Guardian asset from the Unspeakable Oath, Storm of Spirits, a Mystic asset from the Unspeakable Oath, Flamethrower from Shattered Aeons, and the rogue version of the 45 Thompson from For the Greater Good. If your investigator or group of investigators get swarmed, you will need some way to defeat multiple enemies during an attack, and these types of assets will give you a leg up, especially if you're facing a horde of angry Zoogs. That's going to do it for my preview of the Dream Eaters Deluxe expansion. Lovecraft's Dreamlands is one of my favorite parts of the mythos, so it goes without saying that I am very, very excited about getting my hands on this expansion. Players will have the option of playing 2 4-scenario mini-campaigns as well as the longer 8-scenario campaign, which I think is great for players like myself who has trouble finishing the longer 8-scenario campaigns sometimes. Luke Robinson looks like he's going to be a lot of fun to play as he zips around the board with his gate box. I am not looking forward to dealing with swarms of Zoogs, which might be very difficult for a solo player like myself. However, it's too early to tell how the swarm mechanic will work. I'm sure FFG will discuss it, as well as the Myriad keyword in future preview articles. We already know that the rogue investigator in the Deluxe expansion is going to be Tony Morgan, a rogue with 5 combat. That's going to be awesome. And he was spoiled by Asmodee France. So keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be lots of spoilers coming out here in the next month or two as we lead up to the release of the Dream Eaters. Judging by the current release rate, we will finish the latest packs. I think we've got one in July, August, so we'll finish the Circle Undone by August. So I'd probably say maybe we'll see the Dream Eaters in October or November. So I am definitely looking forward to that. That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromleng@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at manfromleng. Make sure you check out my Facebook page at the Whisperer in Darkness channel, or you can just search Man from Leng and that will pop up. I'll be announcing more stuff on my Facebook page going forward, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.